above the clouds. At first light, Machu Picchu seems to rise out of the clouds. Stone walls emerge from the mist, terraces descend toward the forest, and the peaks beyond appear almost close enough to touch. But the most remarkable thing about this place is not simply that it survived, it is that it was built here at all. Machu Picchu stands 2,430 meters above sea level on a narrow ridge above the Urubamba River in Peru. The slopes are steep, the ground is fractured, rain can fall with tremendous force, earthquakes are a constant danger. Almost every feature of the landscape seems hostile to permanent construction. Yet the Inca did not flatten the mountain or fight against it. They studied it, shaped it, and made the city part of it. This is not only the story of a lost settlement, it is the story of an extraordinary partnership between human design and the natural world.
A royal world at the edge of an empire. Machu Picchu was created during the height of the Inca Empire, known as Tawantinsuyu. By the early 16th century, that empire stretched along much of western South America, connected by roads, messengers, storehouses, and carefully organized labor. For many years, historians place the beginning of Machu Picchu around 1450. More recent radiocarbon research suggests that the site was already in use by about 1420 and remained active until roughly 1530. How? Its exact purpose is still debated, but the strongest evidence points to a royal estate associated with the Emperor Pachacuti. It may have served as a seasonal residence, a ceremonial center, and a place where political authority was expressed through architecture and landscape. This was never a vast city like Cusco. It was a carefully planned world of residences, sacred spaces, terraces, workshops, and storehouses. Its relative isolation was not a weakness. It was part of its meaning, a place where the ruler, the gods, and the mountains could be brought into a single ordered landscape.
Building with stone, not against it. The builders worked mainly with granite found on the mountain itself. They had no iron tools, no draft animals for hauling heavy loads, and no wheeled transport system suited to these slopes. Stone was cut, ground, levered, and fitted through enormous human effort. In the most important buildings, blocks meet so closely that mortar was unnecessary. Doorways and windows narrow toward the top. Walls lean slightly inward. Corners are rounded, and some stones interlock across adjoining walls. These details were not merely decorative. In an earthquake, rigid masonry can crack and collapse. Inca stonework could move subtly and settle back into place. The same precision that created visual beauty also helped the structures endure. Even large natural boulders were not always removed. Some were carved into foundations, steps, platforms, and ritual forms. The boundary between architecture and mountain was deliberately blurred. Machu Picchu therefore feels less like a city placed upon a ridge than a city released from it. The builders did not impose a foreign geometry on the landscape. They allowed the landscape to determine the geometry.
The engineering hidden beneath the view. The famous walls attract the eye, but the deeper achievement lies beneath them. Rainwater was one of the greatest threats to Machu Picchu. On steep, unstable ground, poor drainage could have caused erosion, flooded buildings, or sent whole sections of the settlement sliding toward the valley. The terraces helped prevent that disaster. Behind their retaining walls were layers of stone, gravel, sand, and soil. Water could pass downward instead of building pressure against the walls. Channels, stairways, and drainage openings guided excess rain safely through the site. Fresh water came from a natural spring on the mountainside. A carefully graded stone canal carried it toward the settlement, where it flowed through a sequence of 16 fountains. The first fountain stood near the ruler's residence, while others served the areas below. The system worked by gravity. It required no pumps, yet it could handle changing water levels and protect the clean supply from storm runoff. Much of the labor invested in Machu Picchu was therefore invisible: foundations, retaining structures, and water control. The city survived because its builders understood that the most important architecture is sometimes the part no one sees.
A sacred landscape. For the Inca, mountains were not empty scenery. They were powerful presences within a living, sacred world. That belief can be felt throughout Machu Picchu. Important spaces frame peaks, sunlight, and the movement of the sky. The curved Temple of the Sun incorporates a natural rock into its design. The Temple of the Three Windows opens toward the surrounding landscape. High above the central plaza stands the carved stone known as the Intihuatana, whose exact function remains debated, but whose position connects ritual space with the horizon. These structures were not isolated monuments. They formed part of a larger choreography of movement. Stairways directed the body upward and downward. Gateways revealed and concealed views. Plazas opened suddenly between compressed passages. Stone, water, light, and mountain worked together. The landscape was not a backdrop to the ceremony. It was one of its participants.
The people behind the monument. Machu Picchu is often described through emperors and temples, but its daily life depended on many other people: attendants, farmers, craftspeople, builders, and religious specialists. They lived in modest stone houses with steep thatched roofs. They carried water, prepared food, maintained terraces, produced textiles, and supported the ceremonies and administration of the estate. Modern studies of human remains have revealed something unexpected. Many of the people buried around Machu Picchu came from genetically diverse backgrounds linked to regions across the empire, including the highlands, the coast, and Amazonia. This suggests that the settlement brought together people from distant places. Machu Picchu was remote, but it was not disconnected. It stood within an imperial network capable of moving labor, knowledge, food, and culture across enormous distances. The silence of the ruins can make the site appear frozen in time. In reality, it once sounded with footsteps, voices, running water, tools striking stone, and wind moving through thatched roofs.
Abandonment and rediscovery. Machu Picchu's active life was relatively brief. In the 1530s, the Spanish invasion shattered the political system that had supported the estate. Disease, warfare, and the collapse of imperial authority transformed the Andes. The Spanish never left a known written description of Machu Picchu. Without the royal network that maintained it, the settlement was gradually abandoned. Vegetation covered walls and terraces, but the site was never truly unknown. Local communities knew the mountain, and farmers lived and worked near the ruins. In 1911, the American explorer Hiram Bingham reached Machu Picchu with local guidance. He did not discover an untouched city. A Peruvian farmer, Agustin Lizarraga, had even left his name at the site in 1902. What Bingham did was bring Machu Picchu to international attention through expeditions, photography, and publication. The distinction matters. Machu Picchu was not waiting for the outside world to give it a history. Its history had always belonged to the Andes and to the people who preserved knowledge of the place.
What the mountain preserved. Today, Machu Picchu remains one of the most recognizable places on Earth, yet familiarity can hide its true achievement. Its greatness does not rest on mystery alone. It lies in the intelligence of its foundations, the precision of its water system, the restraint of its architecture, and the respect shown to the mountain itself. The Inca built a royal world in one of the most demanding landscapes imaginable. Centuries later, stone and mountain still appear inseparable. Machu Picchu endures because its builders understood a principle that modern construction often forgets. The strongest design does not always conquer nature. Sometimes it listens.